and it keeps perhaps from spreading it back over this way. So we appreciate that. Just real brief then, some news that we have. The weather's getting nicer. We will be getting folks outside as much as possible, schedule activities and not scheduled. People are welcome to go outside. You may take your loved one outside at any time. We encourage that. Of note, we have, for some of you who may not know, we have a new unit manager on the skilled nursing unit. Her name is Giovanna Dupuy. She goes by Gia. She has a lot of experience in long-term care doing just this job in other facilities. She's hit the ground running. She replaces Aaron Smith for folks that knew Aaron. So do say hi to Gia. Her office is right on the unit if you're on skilled. And with that, I'll take any questions that anybody might have.
I have a question.
Yes, Michelle.
Somebody sent this question in. If we do have droplet precautions in place or required to wear masks, my understanding is my loved one isn't allowed to go outside or leave. Am I wrong?
You would be wrong on that. So it seems counterintuitive, but nobody is the word quarantine is not a word I like because it's not accurate and it connotes some things that aren't true. We cannot, nor do we want to, keep anyone in the room indefinitely beyond their wishes or desires. Precautions must be taken, but if your loved one is on contact and droplet precautions, how will you know? You'll see signs and bins right outside of their door. It means that you must don that protective wear going in. And if you'd like your loved one to come out, we will help facilitate that. We will make sure that you and your loved one are masked up and you may come out, you may go sit outside, you may take them for a car ride. You can do whatever things that you would normally do. We just ask you consult with the nursing staff so we can make sure that that person's able and that we can accommodate that. But no one is forced to stay in their rooms.
Questions for Philip? Okay, sir, you're excused. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Amy and Ian, or just Amy to start? Okay, Ian.
Okay, come up.
Ian.
Thank you. All right, I don't know if anybody, okay, I'm Amy McIntyre, the Director of Dining. I don't know if we remember last month when Michelle tried to get the soup guy in here. Do we remember? Right. Look at that. Okay, so Ian does have, we do give him a couple days off. He does have Fridays and Saturdays off. You may see the difference. But yes, he does your soup. He does all of the soup for the health center and independent living. It's Ian Dunkley. He is also our chef manager here. Okay, he is a Sodexo employee, so he's one of our, and he does all of our food for the health center. He also does your hydration station. So he cuts up all that nice fruit for you and puts the water in the mornings when he's really busy trying to put out health center food and people are coming in because the complimentary coffee is overflowing.
Yay, Ian.
Right. So what you don't know is that someone last month told us that this is the best soup they've ever had, like in the area, like not just in this place, but overall, like they haven't had better soup anywhere else. So we just wanted to take a moment to appreciate, and this is a huge deal. You also saw Ian this past Sunday with our CIA intern doing the omelet action station at brunch. That was amazing. We're going to do those once a month now at brunch because it's so successful and everybody loves it. He also, what you don't know is because he does things for the health center, that Ian and I do omelets for both Garden View and assisted living every other Thursday. So he's doing that same action station in the health center every other Thursday, depending on the place. We will start implementing into skilled, but for right now, I mean, our dance card is pretty full. All right, so you may leave us because I know you have to finish the order, but thank you. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Ian. Great job.
All right, I was told I don't have a lot of time. Okay, so ready. So I had about maybe like 20 people who came to my happy hour wine tasting yesterday. We had a fun stuff, didn't we? Yes, we did. We're going to do them once a month. The idea, we did advertise it. I promise I did. It was on your calendar. It was in the Woodland Pond Life. We talked about it in Chanticleer. But we did a wine tasting happy hour yesterday. And I brought in 5 new wines. The idea was we're not going to change up the wine menu, but I've been, we listened to you. And when you filled out surveys, a couple comments were made about bringing in some different kinds of wine. So, and having fun with it too. I don't want to just pick wines without having the people who drink it give me their feedback. So I brought 3 reds, 2 whites. We tried them all. We drank them all. And then some of you drank more. And then we decided, we talked about them as a group. We had a lot of fun. And I've decided that let's just do that once a month for why not? And then we can feature these wines. There was a vegan wine. Oh, marron. But we're going to feature these wines on your menus, okay? So I told Tanya to order a couple of them. The Montepulciano was a fan favorite, so we're going to bring that one in. And I think I'm going to do the Love Block Sauvignon Blanc. Those are the first 2 that I'm going to bring in. I'm not getting rid of any of your standard wines. I don't want to get in a nasty gram. It's just new ones. I'm going to let you know that the price points will be higher. When I say higher, I mean maybe $2, okay? But it's just the reality is that I can bring in some better wines, but I have to do it as a higher cost. And we're going to have fun. So please look into it. Anyone who was there will tell you how much of a good time we had. And we really would like to make it bigger. I don't care if we have to move into the game room. I love the idea of any reason for all of us to get together. Okay. What's your thoughts on sushi? All right. Well, I'm going to bring in a sushi guy. All right. So this is part of an innovation thing. I talked to Michelle about it. I did it at Vassar Brothers. And also I know that SUNY New Paltz does it. It's Hannah Sushi. The gentleman, we can do 2 things. The gentleman can come in and make it in front of us, or we can just pack it out, or a little bit of both. So I think I'm going to do a hybrid where maybe I'll have him come in, but then we'll put it in our Simply to Go cooler. It's just giving you another option for lunch and dinner. And if it's really successful, Jared's going to talk to him about coming in and doing a dinner night. But let's go slow. But we'll probably see sushi within the next week or 2. And if you don't like it, you don't like it. You don't even have to look at it. Okay. So I have some great news. We all know that we have a CIA intern, Alexis. You've met her last month we met her. Well, we talked to her about staying on at Woodland Ponds when she graduates and she wants to. That's a huge, huge compliment to every one of us in this room. My district manager, Jared, is here today, and I want you to know that I may have been eavesdropping on their conversation. And she said that it's not just the kitchen that she loves, it's the residents, it's the feeling here. Everything about Woodland Pond, she loves it here. And I thank you for that, because that's not just me, it's you also. It's us as a community. Phillips, who's no longer here, tries to teach me all the time that it's our facility. It's not my dining room, it's ours. And we always have to. So thank you. We have a senior cook position that is currently open, and she's going to apply for that for Woodland Pond. And then so her graduation from the culinary is April 8th. Or in April, and she's going to stay on with us at Woodland Pond. So now we got 2 CIA brats in the kitchen, Jared and Alexis. Okay, desserts. I'm going to say this to you. I'm going to look into some higher end desserts. Okay, I may have to change the price points, and I just bring this app to you, maybe like $1 more. I saw what the tiramisu cost, and I almost passed out. So just little things I'm going to talk to you about. I want to bring in nicer items. As long as you understand, you don't have to buy them. But if you'd like to, there may be $1 or 2 more. And you know that I'm always very transparent about these things with you guys. I have not got a lot of spring, summer menu ideas from anyone. If you want to put it in the happy or not, you can. Make sure you're happy when you write and you want ziti. Or you could email me. You could write a list and hand it to Ruth. Okay? We are currently working on our spring, summer menus. And your feedback is important. You can't come to me in a couple months and say you don't like my menu if you haven't told me what you want. That's not fair. That's why I did the wine tasting, because I wanted your opinions on what kind of wines that you wanted me to bring in. So please let me know. I got one more thing and I'm walking away. Happy or not machine. It's valuable feedback. Last month, we had 103 responses. That's great. Please keep using it. I know Michelle sent out a link so you can do it through email now, making it a lot easier for you. But I have to convey something to you. In the moment when you're in that dining room, if you are unhappy with your meal, you have got to speak up. Do not just say, I've waited too long. They don't care. They won't do anything. even if you don't want anything more, I want to credit that meal to you. Like any other place that you go, give us the opportunity to fix it. It could be because you tried something new and you don't like it, but we will make it up. And I brought this up to a group yesterday in the dining room. When something is brought back to the kitchen, that dish becomes priority. It is the next dish that goes out of the kitchen. So don't worry about the rest of the table eating and your food's not coming. The only, issue is the salmon. Salmon does take 20 minutes because it's fresh salmon. You all know that. We cook it to order. So if you order salmon, you're going to have to wait a couple minutes. But I promise you, I don't want to hear that you had a meal where you wrote an empanada is inedible, but you didn't send it back, but you chose to put it in my happy or not machine. That's not fair. I want to fix it in real time. I want you to enjoy every single one of your meals. And if you're not telling me, and I need to hear feedback. Please, please, please use your happy or not machine, but also spread some joy, because when you talk about these servers and I read these results, you should see their faces. Did you just see Eon? Do you see his face? That was priceless, because they want monetary compensation, but they also want to be appreciated. So any comments that you have about any of my staff, especially positive, get it in that happy or not machine. Write the applauds where they all get gift cards. All right, I'm done. Any questions for Amy?
Betsy?
Are you going to update the little cards that are on the table listing the wines and beers?
Oh, nope. Well, the answer is no, Bets. Because the wines that I'm going to bring in will probably be on your menu on a separate sheet, because we're going to be rotating them. So any new wines, so like this week I told you I'm going to bring in the Sauvignon Blanc and the Montepulciano. You'll have a separate thing with those wines and their pricing. It won't be on your regular table, the tents, they call them table tents, because we're just going to be rotating them. And when they're gone, they're gone. I believe it is up to date. We haven't changed any of our wines. The only thing that happens sometimes is they send substitutes. So if I can't get the Mal back, sometimes Tanya will order a different kind, but then we always get the other kind back. But if you feel that they're a little outdated, I'll have Tanya look at them for you. Okay. Any other questions for Amy? Whew, I love it. All right.
Amy, pick someone.
Oh, my best friend, Rob.
Oh, my best friend, Rob. Everybody's best friend, Rob.
Thanks for keeping it short. Can everyone see me? We're good? All right. All right, yeah. Yeah, I try and, match everything to watch and everything. Tom makes fun of me. Don't worry about it. If you have any jokes, just send them to Tom. A couple of things for me. I'm Robert.
Wait. Introduce yourself, please.
I'm getting there. I'm Robert Dunn, the Director of Environmental Services. A couple topics I want to touch on today come from, my staff or Carrie that brings them up, who handles the schedule for the most point. A couple of staff members are mentioning that people are just leaving Post-its on their door saying that they want to cancel housekeeping. Please don't do that. Call us ahead of time, at least the day before. We understand sometimes things come up, but you got to let us know ahead of time. All right, call Carrie or call myself and say, hey, I'm not going to be able to make that appointment. I want to cancel it, because then we can, reschedule or move schedules around or whatever, because I don't want that to be, a wasted hour or whatever we got to shuffle around. So please call the office if you need to cancel something. We understand sometimes doctor's appointments can change quickly. So let us know before that happens. Okay. The annuals, we are still ahead of schedule there. So if you had your annual somewhere in March or April last year, Carrie is reaching out to you. So if you do get a message from her, please reach back out to her, because if not, we'll just move on to the next person down the line. We just keep moving that along. But just reach out to us if you do want that done, or if you don't want it done, that's okay too. But I'd like to stay ahead of it now that we're finally past the schedule and we're doing everybody within 12 months. I'd like to keep ahead of that. Okay. Any questions on the annuals? There are some new people here. We do clean your apartment once every 12 months after you move in. If you are new here, your apartment is as clean as it's going to be before you move in. And 12 months later, we're going to try and schedule that annual cleaning either around that anniversary date and try and get you in there and get you cleaned. The porches are a little different. We can try and schedule that more in the springtime. Because it's very hard to do the porches in the dead of winter when it's snow piled on it or whatever the reason is, or it's just too cold for us to steam clean the floor. So just keep that in mind as well. We can always reschedule that in the spring because we can do them more frequently. Okay. Also clutter in the apartments, please, if you have an issue with clutter, it's not just about your safety in the apartment, it's the staff safety as well. To maneuver around those apartments where you have a lot of stuff, you want to make sure that, you know, if ever the chance that EMS has to come in, that it's safe for you guys, it's safe for them to come into the apartment if that ever needs to happen. Reach out to Carrie or myself and we can help you organize things in your apartment, or we can make arrangements to get an organizer to get things in your apartment cleaned up. Okay, we don't want to just leave it there. I'm taking care of it or whatever. Don't feel like you have to take it on by yourself. We can get you the help you need. Okay, but I just want to make sure it's safe in your apartment either way. All right. We did put new signs up in the south wings of garbage rooms. So I don't know, all of you in South Wing, if you got a chance to look at them, provide any feedback. If we need to change something on those, let me know. All right, then we can make that and make some changes as we do that. I haven't heard any feedback on it whatsoever. All right, which is a good sign. Yes, it's a good sign. They're colorful, they're animated. So thank you, Martin, for all his hard work, and we might tweak them very much. So I appreciate all your help with that as well. I think that's all I have. Any questions for me? Also, this time of year, hold on, Ina, pest control. Please let us know if you have pests. It's that time of year as they start to invade your places. It's very common around here. You know, we tend to live in their world. They don't live in ours. Okay, so for some reason, we put this building in the middle of the woods. So it's not uncommon for you to have issues, but report them. If I'm not here, Carrie's not here, report it at concierge. There's a logbook at concierge that pest control will see, and then they will come and address it. All right, or I'll try and call you ahead of time if I know I can bring them in if you're not going to be around. Okay, and then we'll do the best we can. Go ahead, Ina. Oh, sorry, he's got the mic in the back.
Hi, so how do you want us to dispose of old electronics like old cell phones, old laptops?
When it comes to electronics, we don't take them. If you want us to take them, we can. But Lowe's right down the road will take your cell phones. They'll recycle them. No charge. You just drop them off at the customer service desk if it's an old cell phone.
Computers?
Computers, I'm not sure. I will call Lowe's and find out. I don't know. I can ask on the computer recycling piece of things, but we don't take them either. You can take them to the transfer station. If you drive them up there, they will take the electronics as well.
Or you don't need you don't need to have subscribed to the transfer station. Yeah, you don't need a permit to get into the transfer station.
No, I don't believe so. No. Yeah, I'll find out on the permit, but I'm pretty sure you don't need a permit. I don't have a permit, and I go to the Ulster County UCRRA and I drop off electronics there all the time, and they've never questioned me. And it's the same entity.
All right, hang on a second. I don't. Yeah, they know that. I mean, right. So
Before you just drop it off.
specific recycling questions and things like that, can you email Rob? But the question I have for you is, does the sign tell people what to do with that stuff?
There is a sign I can put, we did take it down. We only addressed what was in the room. But we do find that electronics are dropped off in the garbage rooms when they shouldn't be. So I'm going to reintroduce that sign into the garbage rooms of, please don't drop electronics off here. They need to come to us. We can charge you to dispose of it, or you can take it up to the transfer station.
Right. Okay. So please ask specific questions about this stuff to Rob. General questions for Rob, Ina.
I'm not sure if this is more for Rob or Michelle. In October, we discussed to both of you getting better signage overall in the building for direction, for EMS, for people coming for the elevators and so on.
We're going to be doing a totally new sign program.
It would be nice to be told.
Well, we're doing updates shortly if we ever get through all these blah, blah, blahs.
Anything else?
Um, One observation about electronics. If people feel that they need to get disposed completely, it's one option, as you say, I mean, to bring them to, so there is also a store in town, Computer Hack, that they will take some electronics, particular computers and some monitors and so on. But the other thing is in the sustainability committee, we try to help people avoid things going to the trash. So sometimes people may have graded their computer because they want a new model and whatever. The old one may still be workable. So we can help people to make sure that they don't go to the trash and they don't go to the transfer station.
That's fine. And just send me the information on the place in town so I can pass that along to people.
Michelle, and then maybe one more, and then we'll move on to whoever Rob is going to designate as next.
It's not a question, but in the past, when I've needed to get rid of a computer and have the memory board taken and removed, the Best Buy used to do that. And they would destroy it and give you a certificate that said they did. So I don't know if they still do that.
I'm sure they do. The problem is like, there's not a lot of Best Buys around here. Poughkeepsie and the Kingston one is now closed. Is that it? One more? The last one. Yeah, I mean, if anyone calls me on that, I can give you the details of the transfer station or I'll get the stuff for the computers in town. Okay?
Thanks, Rob.
We'll get that info.
Who's next? Shannon? Okay.
Hi, everyone. I'm Shannon Scatoro, the Director of Marketing. I don't have too much on my end. I just want to give an update from my update from last month where I announced that the resident forum notifications were up and running. They were not. There was a nice glitch in the system that took a few weeks to fix. Since yesterday, they are now up and running and working, and they've been tested and used by residents already. If anyone is not aware, we have a resident forum. It's on the homepage of our Woodland Pond website. Up in the upper right corner, you just click on resident forum. The password is Woodland, all lowercase, and you can scroll down to see where the resident forum is. Yes, that's how you get into the resident portal, Betsy. So once you're in the portal, you can click on the resident forum, you can post, you can answer questions. Right now, if some of you are receiving emails, there's been a few that have gone out since yesterday. If you do not want to receive those notifications, you can either just let me know or reply to the email that you're receiving it from to opt you out. So very simple if you do not want them. But you will receive a notification by email anytime anyone posts anything in the resident forum. All right, any questions?
We'll go to Ina.
The response to the resident portal, it comes from Braveheart, not Braveheart, right, not Woodland Pond. So your first instinct is delete it, but you have to know.
So the email address that it comes from does say Woodland Pond. It's Woodland Pond
Something at Gmail, but it
dot resident forum at Outlook.
But it does say BraveNet.
The message will always say BraveNet forum notification. That's what the message will say, and you have to read the body of the email and it'll say who posted what and all the details in it. There's no way for us to change that part.
Right. Yakov?
This is excellent news. I mean, for people that have not been aware, we have been trying to have a web-based communication bulletin board, basically, where people can ask for advice, offer things that they want to give away, ask for things and so on. And having this on site, I think it's a big step forward. So if somebody wants to find out more, just let me know. We can have a little meeting and discuss how to use it or details if there are questions, but this is great.
And just so you do understand, it is moderated by me and others. So all community policies and conduct and decorum must be maintained. And I think that would be an excellent place to talk amongst yourselves about what to do with your electronics. What else do you have, Shannon?
I mean, Joe Sanders was able to find a new home for her light
Oh, she found it already?
in moments after
Oh,
posting.
look at
so it
that.
works.
Congratulations. Even without a picture?
Yeah.
Wow. All right. Thanks, Shannon.
That's all I have.
1 minute.
Oh, really? Great.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Terrell Fairley. I am the manager of IT and cybersecurity here at Woodland Pond, for those who I haven't had the opportunity to meet just yet. So I help out with the computers, TV, cell phones, things like that. I have two things that I want to talk about quickly. I know we're a little bit short on time. The first big thing is these Microsoft tech scams, support scams that some of you in this room have received on your computers. These are fake notifications. The easiest way to really get rid of it, one, you can close the browser out. Sometimes that doesn't work. You can shut your PC down and restart it. Sometimes that helps as well. Also, the biggest thing for these Microsoft tech scams are the type of antivirus that you have, right? So one primary application that I'm pretty much recommending to everybody is an application called Malwarebytes. I can provide additional details on that, but they do have a few components to help our computers stay safe. All right, so that was the first thing that I want to bring up. If you guys do see these Microsoft tech scams, it's very important to address those. Typically what happens is there's a support number on the Microsoft tech scam that gets presented on your screen. It's very scary looking. It wants you to call Microsoft support. That is a fake number, so definitely don't give that number a call. Instead, call the concierge desk and they can get a hold of me and I can help you guys through that kind of stuff, okay? But the biggest thing is remember not to make that telephone call, because once we do, that gives the bad guys an opportunity to steal our information, all right? The second thing that I wanted to talk about was our recently resurrected resident tech team, okay? So the resident tech team is made up of volunteers here at Woodland Pond, volunteer residents, who have some level of elevated skill set to be able to help us in the community to be able to resolve some of the minor issues that we're having. Things like our phones aren't making or don't have the ability to make outbound phone calls. Things like my internet's not working. A lot of times these are simple tasks. Sometimes they're not simple, but some of the residents on the tech team do have the ability to help out with those kinds of things. So you will hear more about that as we move forward. But those were the two things that I wanted to bring up. Any questions? Yes. How do you reach me? The easiest way to reach me is to give a call to the concierge desk and they can open up a work request. Okay, anything else?
Oh, okay. I'm going to go to Ronnie, Sue, and then to Rhea.
Terrell, in terms of scams, I notice sometimes both with texts and emails, there's a little thing you can click and it'll either say report scam and unsubscribe, or it'll say delete scam. So I've been using that. Would you agree that that's a good thing to do?
Is that on an email?
Emails and texts, I believe.
Okay, yeah. So your computers obviously can become compromised. Our cell phones can become compromised too. So the biggest thing with the cell phones, and a lot of times the adversary, the bad guys, they'll send you kind of a misleading text that looks legitimate, right? And they'll include a link in that text message. A lot of times the adversary knows that once they craft these text messages in a way that we might think might be compelling to click on, they know that they have us at that point, right? So all it really takes is us clicking on that link, and then it's kind of game over at that point, right? So most devices become compromised at that point. Same thing applies for your email. The biggest thing with emails, if you don't know, if you're not expecting the email, and I know a lot of times it's difficult to say, but if you're not expecting the email and it seems like it's too good to be true, delete it. Okay, so that's really the best advice when it comes to emails. And then again, the same thing applies with the emails, right? The bad guys, they want you to click that link, right? In the email on your PC. So be hesitant about clicking that link. That's an easy way for us to become compromised.
And I'll just add one more thing too. I know increasingly a lot of you are using Facebook. And I know that because you're sending me friend requests. So like I'm totally popular. But there are a lot of scam posts on Facebook. And it might seem like something that's legitimate, like somebody's lost dog, or I can't sell my grandmother's house, please share and whatever. before you do anything with those things, read the comments. Because a lot of times the comments will say, this is a scam, okay? Facebook is a huge target and they look like legitimate posts that might be coming up on your feed, but they're scams. So just, you're just gonna have to use caution all the time.
Mhm.
Okay, Rhea, I know you had a question.
In terms of what Ronnie was asking you, very often under your address, it will say unsubscribe. This is email. Is that something that really works?
I mean, there's two kind of trains of thought when it comes to that, right? In some cases, when it's a legitimate outside company who's sending you legitimate emails, a lot of times we want to unsubscribe to that stuff because, we're just not interested in it. Other times, it's a way for a bad guy to know that somebody exists on the other side of that email. All right, so when you click that unsubscribe link, you're notifying them, yes, I'm still here. I just don't want any of your future emails. So keep that in the back of your mind. I would mark it as spam. Mark that email as spam rather than unsubscribe. And that will send any future emails that are similar to that email to your spam folder.
Terrell, are you thinking about maybe doing some educational sessions?
Yes. So thank you, Michelle. One other thing that I did want to bring up is I would like to do educational sessions for everybody. I'm kind of getting an understanding of what a lot of people need, but it would be super helpful to begin to start to categorize what people are most interested in. So I just need a kind of a good way to be able to start to collect those as they come in. So yeah, I'm sorry. I do have an email address. So it's my first name and first initial last name at Woodland Pond. But really the best way to contact me is through the concierge. They can hunt me down. I'm kind of in and out of my office all day long. Any other questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, I'm Tom Tango, Director of Plant Operations. First thing I want to do is introduce you to the guy you're sitting up front and you're wondering who he is. Like and Michelle will be talking about soon, we have a lot of projects that we're going to be doing. Some expansion and some renovation. And to do that, we brought in David Roberts, our new capital projects manager. And David comes to us with a lot of experience doing just this, to include doing large projects in a facility that has to remain operational. So that's also a pretty valuable skill. We made a new office for him right downstairs, right in our office downstairs. So he'll be down there. He just started last week and he'll be full-time come April 1st. And as far as what he'll be doing, he'll be the day-to-day operation person on all the projects, interacting with contractors, architects, the village, on and on.
Tom, I just want Dave to just say a quick hello
Yep.
himself and something that you might like the residents to know and how your first week has been.
Thanks, Michelle. So how's that? Good. So I've, as Tom said, I have a varied background in architecture, working both in the Hudson Valley and also in New York City. I've lived in the Hudson Valley for 28 years, in spite of my accent. And actually started off living here in New Paltz for a number of years, and raised 3 kids in the Hudson Valley. So yeah, and actually in the last 6 months became a US citizen as well. So, but I'm really very happy to be part of this team. It's going to be an exciting, challenging expansion, but it really is an exciting project to be working on. And I look forward to meeting all of you and answering questions and having your involvement in the future. Thanks.
All right. Thank you, Dave. Welcome.
Thanks, Dave.
All right, I'm just going to go over a couple things and then you can ask questions. I sent out an email earlier today to most people about water. Just our water usage has gone up. Not a lot, and not like, oh my God, it's a problem, but it's gone up, and it's starting that trend. And every year we go 7 to 8% up or down. But we're just starting to get out of that a little bit. So we just wanted to mention. And for those of you that ask, that number, I should have said something in email, that doesn't include the cottages. That meter only does the building. The cottages have their own meter, so that's not the cottages. So just in general, if you're aware of something that might be using water, let us know. If your faucet is dripping, if you think your toilet is running, let us know. A running toilet can use an amazing amount of water. So just let us know. Our next couple of things, paving. In 4 to 6 to 8 weeks, I don't have a time yet, but we're going to be repaving parking lot 1 or 2, the parking lot right outside the library, and a large section of the roadway from the loading dock on down to about the north wing. I don't have time frame yet. I will. It won't. There'll be plenty of notice. But there's a number of vehicles that might not start, and there's some cars out there with some flat tires. So I just need everybody to make sure that your car can move, because when the equipment comes, it'll move. So just make sure your car can move when need be, and that we know whose car it is. Again, it's not going to happen overnight, and you'll have plenty of notice. LED bulb replacement, that's something we put off come the winter. We'll get back to that. We'll get out some notices and we'll start doing that again. We have to finish the cottages, and then we have to come inside and get all the apartments we haven't been to because we missed a number of them. The HVAC replacements in the wings, north, south, and central wings, the work is done. The heat works fine. The air conditioning will come on, but when the first warm weather comes, they have to come adjust it. So when it first gets really warm, it'll be a week or so before it gets dialed in perfectly. So I just wanted you to be aware of that. But it works, everything's fine. It just needs to get dialed in perfectly. With that, any questions? All right, I'm done.
He's done.
No, not Rob done, no.
All right. Hi, everyone. Thank you guys all so much, and gal, for your updates. And thank you all for listening. I have a couple of things I just want to mention. So I think you guys realize that there's a lot going on here pretty much all the time. And I try to capture and remember the things that I don't talk to people about or don't see people, for. But you are welcome to email me or contact Lindsay if there's something that you want included in my weekly address, or a question that you might have that might be helpful to others. Lindsay is my executive assistant. She's in the back there. She's absolutely wonderful. I'm also trying to help Terrell and Jason, because she's never busy enough. This girl just loves to do all kinds of things. So I'll use an example. Okay. Last Friday, some of you probably saw on Facebook or might have just actually seen physically a weird looking bike. Okay. And you might have seen some of us taking rides or taking pictures or whatever. It's hard for me to talk about everything we're doing all the time. It didn't even occur to me to bring it up on the weekly address, but the fact that it was an oddity on campus or a possible opportunity is probably of interest to some of you. So what that is we're contemplating a partnership with an open space organization in Gardner to install these bikes that are 1 rider, 2 passengers in the front, that were inspired by a trip of that executive director to Copenhagen. So we're working on a pilot program with them through our land conservation committee. And they brought the prototype or the one example of the bike here. on Friday, so some of us could try it out. It was well received. I have a few safety concerns and some other things that we're going to be thinking about, but that pilot program is going to continue before we determine if there's going to be a full-on partnership. But that's just an example. I'm just saying this because if there's something that you think I should be sharing in the weekly address or that we need to put in the Chanticleer, you're welcome to encourage it and to ask. Okay. I'm not going to go through any other Woodland Pond odds and ends because I know that everyone's excited to see the very first concept drawing that we have for the renovation project. So I want to just talk a little bit about process here. Okay. After today, every management Q&A, please plan on it being here till if you come, please plan on being here from usually the updates will happen from 2:15 to 2:40. Okay. So if you're interested in the updates, that's what time the updates will be slated for, assuming everybody gets done with their stuff. And they're going to be done by Dave after this. This is the last time you're going to hear a New York accent doing this. After that, we're going to hear the accent from your homeland, which you didn't even tell people what it was. Australia. There's been some debate about whether it was Australian, New Zealand, Brooklyn, San Francisco, you name it. So straight from Australia, 28 years later, ta-da. Dave will be giving you these updates after today. We didn't want to bombard him with the very first one. You are going to see today a concept drawing, not final. I should have put this up here. Still very much a work in process, okay? We haven't had focus groups yet. We haven't engaged an architect yet. This design that you're going to see has been kicked around by our expansion committee, my executive team, which is all of our department heads, and it really came from the interior design firm based on the goals that were set forth, that we've outlined for them, and that you provided in the response to your surveys. This thing will change. Okay? It will change 1,000 million gajillion %. But it's far enough along so that you can see kind of where we are. Within 1 month's time, and hopefully Dave will be able to announce this at the next meeting, we have determined that the best place for all of you to be able to access what you're going to see here and all of its brethren as we go forward is going to be in Connected Living. Okay, so we are actually replacing all of the Connected Living screens with updated technology. Okay, those screens are dated. They're not super touch friendly. We've placed an order to replace those screens. They're going to be a little bit bigger. They're going to be more touch sensitive, which these ones are not particularly touch sensitive. So I know a lot of you don't even use them. But Jason has worked with Connected Living to make sure that we get the best, most sensitive technology. And we're going to be adding a section on our menu there that allows you to click on it and look at this as much as you want to. You will also be able to access it on Connected Living on your handheld devices and on your computer. And I know a lot of you are not doing that right now. So this may actually drive some more traffic to Connected Living so you can understand and we can teach you more about the power of Connected Living. But using Connected Living for this purpose allows us to update what you're receiving in real time and then does not require us to, for example, go to the printer and get a big giant color printout, you know, that might be like accessible by one person. Okay. So we felt that this was the most important thing, and commensurate with that, we knew that we needed to update the technology because those Connected Living screens are pretty much at the end of their useful life. So without further ado, this is the, you want to shut the light, please? Yeah, and you can feel free to help me with that if you want. You're going to see the current concept drawing for the community building, which takes into account operational improvements that we want to see happen, programmatic improvements that we want to see happen, and the fact that we anticipate having more neighbors in 5 years' time. The thing is here. Oh, okay. Sing amongst yourselves. La, la, la. Okay, never mind. Well, we can still put it on the screen. It's fine. All right. So, can we zoom in, Jason, on this end right here for me, please? I don't know. Can we? Yes, and then move it up. Can you move it up? All right. So I'm going to take us, can you zoom a little bit more? Okay. I know some of this is going to be hard to see. I'm going to try to do my best. Yellow means new. Okay. What this concept drawing does is it does a couple of things. It moves down more. Yeah, down closer to me. Yeah. No, up more. We didn't rehearse this. I'm sure when Dave does, it'll be way better. And there might be a pointer involved. All right. We want to take our activities, our opportunities, and kind of make them more thoughtful and more purposeful. And that is one of the instructions that we've given to our design team that is still in development of happening. So when you look at this more closely, which you will be able to do, I'll have Lindsay send this one out this time on your email. In the future, you'll be able to get them on Connected Living. But what I want you to focus on we're going to go left to right. Jason's going to help me zoom in. This whole section, which is the wing that we're in right now, is going to become a dedicated health and wellness wing with a distinct entrance in this hallway. It will be purposeful. This is our existing fitness right here. This entire thing becomes all new fitness. So existing, a little alcove, a potty. This is going to be a potty. More fitness space. This is going to be a new wellness lounge with a fireplace. So a place to congregate or just chill out and relax. They're kind of talking about it sort of like the, not whiskey and cigar, Tom, that's not relaxing for some people. You know, if you guys have been to Mohonk or other places where they have those solarium rooms, like the women's lounge and the men's lounge in the spa. So, you know, quiet space, chill out space, but purposeful. Some more office space there. I really wish I had something taller, but I'll try to use this. No, it's all right. I'll just use this. So this is the new salon, massage, some ante rooms for that. This is yoga and aerobics room. And this is where the new entrance to the wellness area would be. So this will actually have in that hallway out there its own entrance. We've also added a sauna. So within the pool area, there will be a sauna, at least according to this plan, within the footprint of the pool. So taking some of the equipment space over from the pool doesn't need all the equipment space, actually able to fit a sauna in there. Now, in all of the areas that I'm not indicating are being expanded, all of this is getting updated. All of this is getting renovated, new carpets, new paint, furniture, possibly new ceiling tiles, lighting, lots more storage, intentional. We want the things like, oh, that Rubbermaid bin is gone. Purposeful is the point of this. Currently, the pack, which is right up there, is contemplated to be split into 3 spaces. This is going to be yoga and aerobics. They show this with a dotted line, which usually indicates an accordion door. I actually am going to want them to have that be a fixed door because I want this to be a purposeful space. But the rest of the pack will be outside of the wellness, and this will be in the general circulation. Those will be 2 multi-purpose rooms, okay, that can be used for different things or can be combined into one. These are the kind of offices that are still here in the conference room. Jason, can you scroll up? Down a little bit. Apparently this is harder than it looks. There we go. The next area of intention is to talk about, in addition to those multi-purpose spaces, where the art studio is going to go. So yellow, again, means that it's going to grow or move. And so this is a larger footprint where the salon currently is, because remember, the salon's going to move over there. Making the art studio larger and possibly having, as part of this, a carve out for a music practice room. That also might instead go by the pack, which we'll talk about in a minute. But at a minimum, the art studio is going to get much bigger. And this allows for additional light. This plan currently contemplates, because that's going to be multi-purpose space and the conference room, that the game room get moved over here, but that may change. That may become the smart classroom, which is at the end currently of the dining room. The whole dining room function is going to get modified to update for different things. So we'll talk about this. Again, none of this is confirmed. We're just letting you know what the yellow footprint is contemplated to look like. What actually happens with the dining options and function has not been determined at all. So ignore what you see here and just look at the yellow. So this is big. We are looking at expanding the dining room out to this line. Okay, so moving it out into the courtyard to give ourselves more space and more options. So where it says dining and veranda, that's contemplated to be, you know, a regular building. They also would like to add a porch, so enclosed porch. And I think, do you get the sense that that's like 3-season? Okay, the porch would be 3-season. Patio. And then the terrace would be a patio, so maybe umbrella tables or something there. So adding significant more floor plan, a nice enclosed option for 3-season dining, and then a dining terrace kind of going right up to the pond. What we know has to happen, in addition to growing our space, is that the entire dining program and what we're offering has to change. It needs to be updated. It needs to incorporate your desires, trends in senior living. So in order to accomplish that specific component and do this right, we have hired a hospitality consultant in addition to architect, interior design, et cetera. And her name is Shelley Holiday, the Holiday Group. She's coming here on April 22nd. And her main focus is to figure out what are the best options for Woodland Pond related to menu offerings, venue offerings, flow of meal service, alternatives for seated meals, and so forth. So this entire section here, from left to up and around, out to here, which is the current border of the game room, all is in play for hospitality and dining. And it's going to bring a variety of options for you. There's going to be what they call fast casual somewhere in there, which is a quicker, think about it kind of like a food court kind of thing, but like not salad bars, seated dining, alternative dining spaces. So you're going to see in the Chanticleer tomorrow, Friday, that we're going to put a last call for people to sign up for the interested task forces with concierge, at least for this round. And the one that's most time sensitive right now is the dining task force. We are going to have to limit the number of participants. So if you've signed up for more than one, we are going to contact you to take yourself off of one of the lists. But we really can't have more than 15 or 20 residents in a focus group. So, but this is going to be your last chance. So the folks that have signed up for the dining focus group, we are going to contact you most likely to meet at least for part of Shelley Holiday's visit on the 22nd, because she really wants to get the ball rolling. Jason, can you come down here? One of the things that we have major issues with right now, as you will see at any given time, you've got people doing work on laptops in various places. We don't have enough office space right now. We're all kind of just dealing with things and doing things. This yellow contemplates adding additional offices. So basically over the stinky grease trap, I go. but so be it. Tom doesn't care. And neither should anyone else. If I keel over in there, just bring me some smelling salts. But that's just necessary for us to take care of. So those would just move out kind of into that courtyard. And it moves some people around. It moves Jason. It gives us different access to concierge, actual storage at concierge that's built in so that we can put your packages there and they don't look hideous on the counter and a bunch of other things. Jason, pull down for me, please, if you don't mind. I can pull up. Okay. You'll see if you look at this a little bit more closely that in order to accomplish what we need to over here, some of the smaller things like the post office are going to get moved. What's going to happen with carts, we're not entirely sure yet. There's going to be some open space. We're currently in front of the reservation station that they're contemplating a gallery. So basically a floating wall is what we've typically seen, where you'd have it there sort of in the middle to break up the space, but then we can feature different art on there. So maybe something tied in with art scope. And then the major change that you're going to see in addition to all of this is that clearly with more people and now knowing how we use a performing arts center to actually create a dedicated performing arts center off the front of the building. So some of the features of the currently contemplated but absolutely positively going to change PAC. A coat check, which, I mean, not that many of our residents check their coats, but you're gonna, because we're not gonna have heating and cooling anymore. No, just kidding. But for if we have an outside event or whatever, there's gonna be a coat check there. We currently have coat closets behind the reservation station, but coat closet. A vestibule for entry, up to the right, up to the top more. An entrance for additional bathrooms, women's and men's, a box office, and a lobby space. And then this large space here would be a flat floor, non-fixed seating performing arts center, just like you're in now, but this is a raised stage. Again, with an exterior vestibule, lobby, storage. And that's more storage, you know, because right now we just don't have a lot of storage in here. This contemplates, if you can see sort of up, there's a horizontal arrow facing this way and another horizontal arrow facing this way. That indicates a ramp, a gradual ramp up and back to allow wheelchair access up to the stage and the back area. So there's a whole backstage. An M, which must be my other office, I don't know. A toilet. Is that makeup, Tom? Rob, you're the makeup expert. Is that where you're gonna put your makeup on, your blush? Okay. A green room. But this is the most important and exciting part, is this raised stage. We're really excited about that. One of the things that we're going to have the option, or hopefully be given the option to do, some of the things that there's some really cool tech involved, right? So not HVAC, AV is going to be really important to us in this space, and sound and acoustics and so forth. But there's actually a cool technology that you can get that is installed in the ceiling of the room, and you can put in there templates for seating setups. So you basically put in, I want this, you know, slashed like diagonal seating, because it gives the viewer the best experience and the most capacity. Jason or Jeffrey can plug that template into this thing, and it puts like a mark on the floor of where you have to put all the chairs. Oh, and correctly designed HVAC that doesn't rely just on coats. Right. Right. So what Tom is saying, it's not an all or nothing HVAC system, pretty much. Right. Obviously, you can see here that this is going to change the facade of the library. And we are going to be looking to shrink the library a bit. We do have, You know, it's funny that you're saying that because they did say that every community has the same reaction, but the reality is we can still get the same number of books in there and it's still going to be a great experience. We're just going to have to be patient with this process. We can't be all things to all people. The library will stay, the fireplace will stay. And if you're moaning and groaning, sign up for a task force because as we said, this is not final. So we want your feedback. But the reality is that we're going to have to do a little bit of horse trading here to get everything that we need within the footprint that we have. So what's actually contemplated is that there's an interplay between the library as a destination, meaning like, for example, we could host an event that is, you know, sort of combined between the two, and then also having access directly out to the hospitality area. So think about a real true event, maybe with some destinations and so forth. Right now, the classroom says meeting and cards. I actually would like to see that become more tied in with the hospitality stuff and actually bring the pool table back up. Make this more of like a sports lounge kind of thing, because we're going to have plenty of meeting space in other parts of the community. So some of these things are obviously, a lot of these things are still in flux and in play, but this is exciting. And this is kind of where we are right now with the interior design. I'm going to open up to questions. Wait, no one raised their hand. No one has any questions. And then I'll give you a real quick update as to where we are with everything else.
It looks like a great undertaking and it looks beautiful. However, cost and the effect on the existing residents.
So there seems to be a misunderstanding that this is an additive endeavor to the residents. It's actually quite the opposite. And so one of the things that you should be doing, if you're not already doing it, is you should either attend the Finance Advisory Committee meetings or you should read the minutes. But the bottom line is, for those of you that have been here and paying attention to our, can you turn the light on in between these questions for me, Rob? I feel really weird talking in the dark. The only reason that you do, not the only reason, but one of the primary reasons that you do a massive expansion like we're looking at doing is to spread the cost of operations and generate entrance fees to be able to continually renovate your existing campus. So senior living communities grow their revenue bases by adding independent living, which does not add a lot of expense at all, just the minute operating cost additions to generate hundreds of millions of dollars of entrance fees and great deal of revenue so that they can keep the existing campus fresh. So this is the common model. Very soon, you are going to see in some format what those numbers look like. But the bottom line is that this is not being paid for out of existing operations. All of this gets done through financing, but with the understanding that your monthly service fees are not going to go up or have an assessment beyond what they normally would because of this project by any means. You should anticipate your normal, hopefully 4-ish or under % monthly service fee increases continually, because we've always anticipated that this was going to happen once our wait list got to this point. But the bulk of the cost of these projects gets borne on the new entrance fees generated from expansion and the additional revenue that will get generated. So for example, we just added 6 cottages. We're going to net probably $1.5 million on the construction of those cottages, and they're adding $500,000 a year in monthly service fees with adding essentially no cost. I mean, a little bit of electric, but there's no fossil fuels in there. We didn't add any staff to service those. So the monthly service fees that we're generating go straight to the bottom line. And this is why you bring in the developer. This is why you bring in the feasibility consultant. This is why for 2 years prior till we started talking about these things at this meeting, our board looked at nothing but the financials and how does this work and how will it work at Woodland Pond? Do we have the wait list? What's our demand? What's the cost going to be to construct and so forth? So we are still, a lot of these numbers are still being finalized individually, but the pie has been determined to be a very tasty pie without unduly burdening or assessing existing residents. The whole purpose of this is to grow your community and meet the demand, but to be able to renovate and keep your new campus as updated as possible, while then at the end of this, spreading your revenue or your expense stream over that many more units. Betsy? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, do I press anything? No. We're all of a certain age, and not getting younger. And I was wondering when, phase one, which is the dining area, when might we see that actually be completed and used by us?
In your lifetime, you know, ish. We don't really know the answer to that question yet. So, the planning is starting in earnest and kind of in terms of just a general update. You know that we have the interior design firm selected. You knew that last month you got this update. You knew that we were still interviewing and narrowing down our list of architects. That continues. We do have a front runner, but we're waiting for 2 more proposals from 2 of the firms that we liked. Those are due by March 30th. We are hoping to select an architect within the next month. So by the time we meet next month, I think it's fair to say we should have an architect selected. Okay. Once the architect comes on board, all of the numbers, to your point, Mr. LaPerche, are going to start to get refined, not just for this, but for the expansion as well. Our due diligence on the property continues. We are waiting right now for final documents on the boundary survey so that we can finalize the title search. Other than that, the due diligence is basically done on the land. So it's very possible that by the next time we meet with you, the land deal will have either passed and gone through, or the board has nixed it. I'm leaning towards it's going to go forward. We have no reason to think that it wouldn't. Otherwise, we wouldn't be spending all this time and bringing Dave on board. So if we don't have that update for you at the next meeting, it might be shortly thereafter, because our board meeting that month is the week after this meeting. So at any rate, we'll have somewhat of an update for you. We have begun discussions with construction management firms. We are looking for a firm that has the horsepower to be able to staff and run both projects, the on-campus renovation and the expansion, sort of in a leapfrog fashion. Because what we're anticipating is that while one is going in earnest, the other might be going through approval process and might be on pause. And then you've got, renovation and so forth. This is going to be paid for with bond debt. Okay, and the debt is going to be partially repayable immediately from entrance fees, and some of it will be longer term. But to your point, the first tranche of debt, which would pay for, if not all, the bulk of phase one, is hoped to be closed by October 1st of this year. So once the money is in hand, then construction and vertical can start as soon as we have approval from the planning board. So even this project here is going to have to go to the planning board because we are actually going outside of our existing footprint. Now, there is a discussion. I'm going to be very honest with you. Typically, when communities do something like adding this, there's usually a capital campaign that happens. Whether or not we're going to pursue that, we don't know. But most campuses don't do a vanity project like this or a real sexy project like this without tying it to some sort of a capital campaign. We haven't decided if we're going to go that route yet. It's going to determine based on the economics, but there might be a naming opportunity for somebody that's really vain and has a couple of extra mil laying around. Like the Tom Tango Pack and Whiskey Lounge.
Gotta sell that boat first.
Yeah, I think if you sell your boat, you should be able to totally cash flow this whole thing. That's a pretty fancy boat you have. Tom's got a really fancy boat. He can liquidate that. No, but there might be a moat put around this so he can admire the water. So this is going to be phase one, and we're hoping that, I would say maybe this phase can start by the end of this year. There's a lot of approvals that have to happen. There's a lot of moving parts. We've got to get a number of other partners lined up, but we're working on it very aggressively. And we're excited. The next thing that's happening is that, obviously, I just told you that Shelley Holiday is coming on April 22nd. So for those of you that have signed up for the dining focus group, we're going to be in touch with you to see if you've been selected. It's just going to be a matter of numbers, and I need to talk to her to find out how many people she thinks we need in the focus group. I suspect we have more people signed up for each of the focus groups than we really should have, and we're going to navigate that. Currently, the interior design firm is doing the same exact process for phase 2, which is the health center renovation. Okay, so health center renovation is going to encompass, just like it is everywhere, new carpets, new paint, more purpose for the existing spaces. In the health center specifically, we know we have 2 major hurdles that have to be incorporated in this. Number 1, bringing outside light and more congregate space onto skilled nursing. So that's what people refer to as the solarium project, is encompassed in this project. Okay, so that's phase 2. The other is doing the exact same thing with garden view, most likely with an addition off of the end of garden view. So the interior design firm is doing this process for the health center. I expect you will see this counterpart for the health center at the May management Q&A. That's our goal. Okay. And then the third phase, which will be down the road further yet, is a reface of the independent living corridors. So we're not expecting major bricks and mortar work there, but new carpets, possibly, some accent wood, which I don't really like the idea of, because you guys bang into everything with your carts and stuff. It's just a lot of stuff to maintain, but basically not so much tan would be nice. No tan. Now, I want to just be very clear. Beyond what you're seeing here, we haven't seen a design board yet. We haven't seen proposed carpets. We haven't talked paint colors. We're pretty sure it's going to involve Yankee navy, which is the navy blue used by the Yankees. We're pretty sure that's going to be a primary color, and also the color of the New York Jets, green. What we have discussed with every partner we've met with, and you've heard us say this, 2 things. Sustainability needs to be incorporated in all design here and on the expansion, and in the removal and ultimate disposal or rehoming of as much as we can from this campus. So sustainability is going to be a big focus. They know this. Yep. And the other thing is we want it to be very clear when people come into our spaces that we are located in the Hudson Valley. Okay. We don't want Art Deco. We don't want Vegas. We want to draw from the characteristics and personality of Ulster County and the Hudson Valley. So if we think about what are we known for, what are we here for, I'm pretty sure there's going to be an Apple theme everywhere. But we think about, there's a lot of brick making, quarries, farms, farmhouses, lots of corn. So we're trying to do a lot of things here, right? So we're not just changing carpets, it's well beyond that. We're trying to bring functional space to the residents. You're going to have voices at every phase. We're trying to be transparent. We want to answer your questions. Dave's going to be great at this at the next meeting. I'll take a couple more questions or comments. Go ahead, Joy.
This is wonderful. I trust that you're going to figure out all the numbers and all, and it's very exciting. To add to a bucket list, this is a question. Might there be, or has anyone asked about a business space for residents? Those of us who are still working or partially or consulting, that we might be able to rent, for example. Sometimes when you interview new potential residents, there's like a business little room. I'm just wondering if that might be considered at some point.
We'll add it to the list. It's not currently, but none of this is set in stone. It could be in Joy's cottage, Joy's pack. It could be in Joy Dryer's pack. Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, I'm looking at the addition to the dining room that goes into the courtyard, and I'm wondering how many stories that is and what impact it's going to have on the view of us who are at this end, because it looks to me like I'm going to be looking at it out my window, which is beautiful now at new construction.
Yeah, so there is going to be new construction there. In terms of what they've tried to do as best as possible is keep any impact to the view shed to the boundaries of the current parameters of the view shed. We can't answer the specifics of that because it hasn't been developed, but we're going to be looking for feedback all through the process. So make sure you use your voice when you have the opportunity and don't be shy. But they're certainly taking that into consideration. Yakov?
Right here. Right here.
Is there any consideration of increasing the number of rooms in assisted living and in memory care, or that's not in the?
Not currently, and I'll explain why. So we're looking at adding, let's say, maybe between 50 and 70 independent living units, okay? On the adjacent property. Currently, our health center has 100 rooms between skilled, assisted, and memory care. Actuarially, we only need 65. We have 35 too many, according to the actuaries and according to New York State. So when we opened, New York State gave us a perpetual waiver to allow direct admits into the health center forever for up to 35 of our total units in the health center. Now, every other CCRC in New York State loses that ability after 7 years because the actuaries assume that through attrition and needs increasing and changing, by the time you're 7 years old, your health center should be able to be filled with your own contract holders. We were the only CCRC in the state to ever be given this waiver, and we didn't even ask for it. So the state recognized it immediately and gave us this, what I have seen as a gift for the last several years, because the last 15 years, because as those of you that have ever been on a finance committee here know, the health center heavily subsidizes your monthly service fees in independent living. They're paying a lot of your way. So for us, it's been a cash flow boon to us to be able to bring in direct admissions from the outside. We do not have to ever admit anybody within that 35. So as we look at how do we add X number of independent living units without having to add a proportionate amount of skilled, assisted, or garden view, it's because we already know we're 35% too big in the health center. And so that gives us a great peace of mind. Currently, out of the 35 available, 34 are filled with direct admits. So as we get closer to, go time with all this, we're going to carefully manage that and make sure that through attrition, those people kind of age out and then we leave vacancies. Now that's many, many years off because you're talking about construction, then the people in the new units aging adequately enough to where they need assisted living and skilled nursing. So I anticipate you won't see any significant changes there for at least 10 years. Otherwise, our actuarial models are not working. But that's what this is predicated on. To whoever, did you ask that question, Jakob? Does that answer your question? Okay. Ronnie?
This looks great, Michelle. I do have a question though, because it looks like a lot of beautiful landscaping will be taken up by the expansion and a parking lot is going to be taken out. So will there be some room for continuous landscaping, which is really lovely here?
Yeah, I mean, so all of these things, this actually doesn't contemplate taking out any parking. It's just close to parking. This is the existing parking lot. And this is where it would stay. That's the existing parking lot. Throughout every single element of what we're doing, there's going to be a landscape architect involved. But at the same time, this also helps us with some of our goals with, for example, the land, love, lawn committee. For those of us that are trying to work hard to figure out alternatives to grass, some of these actually, this kind of helps us to, you just through bricks and mortar, get rid of some of the grass. But yes, I mean, certainly design includes landscape design. you can talk about it if you want. Tom needs the mic, and then we'll come back to you, Joe.
Segueing sort of on that, also, we have to make sure in the next few years that whatever we do capital wise meshes with whatever we might do improvement wise. In other words, like we're gonna repave that parking lot because we know we're not touching it. And there's gonna be other things throughout the whole building that we may or may not do, keeping in mind what we may or may not do with the expansion. So, and so going forward, there may be things that, gee, why they're doing this section and why they're not doing that section, because we don't want to spend money and then have to take that money, waste it.
Yeah, and that's a really good point. So as you're going over and thinking about the next, let's say 12 to 24 months, if there's something that you think really needs to get addressed, like let's say this carpet starts to get really, really shabby, like automatically, not that it ever could because it's bulletproof. Yeah. Yes, and obviously we're preserving it for Vivian. Actually, what I was thinking was we could kind of do like the Sound of Music and make clothing out of it, and we all wear like the same dress, but just a different style. Yeah, see, right, Stephanie? So there may be things that you ask of us that seem like they absolutely have to be attended to. So we might get a little shabby here before we get real pretty again, kind of like a caterpillar turning into its cocoon and then a butterfly, because we don't want to spend any dollars frivolously knowing that that work or that investment is going to be, potentially completely replaced. All of the dollars that we spend here are very important to us, and we try to be extremely careful with that. So you may hear no's a little bit more than you hear yeses on things that are wants, not needs. And we'll explain that to you. We won't just say, no, we'll explain because this is going to be included in the project. Joe, did you have a question?
Yeah, I did. It seemed to me that a lot of the comments from the survey dealt with the need for comfortable conversation space. Often people proposed it in the pub, and that was probably a good idea. Are there any plans for that? I don't see anything here that would allow for that. Comfortable seating where you could have conversations with 2, 3, 4 people, not over a hard table.
Right. So none of that has been developed yet at all, but that conversation has happened. All of the entire expansion committee and the design firms have your feedback. So they know that that's a priority. That's one of the reasons that the wellness lounge is contemplated. That's one of the reasons that we're thinking about not keeping the meeting and card room, meeting and cards. It might be a place that people want to go hang out. There will be places for conversation. We have to take into account a lot of what draws conversation is not soft seating, because we've got tons of soft seating here made in ways for conversations and they don't get used at all. So we have to make them a destination, right? So what would draw people, let's say, to the lobby to have a conversation after dinner, where there's plenty of soft seating right now? What is it that's keeping people from doing that now? I mean, what ice cream, for example, beer, certainly, darts, I mean, all these things. But yes, this is a big part of the conversation. So they've seen that loud and clear in the survey results.
In suggestion in my case, in all the areas throughout, the big overstuffed chairs are so widely spread out, you can't have an intimate conversation. You're kind of yelling, and you don't want, especially in the lobby, you don't want concierge hearing your conversation, or in the lobby, you don't realize this, but for example, 3, whatever that is, south, where the chairs are, somebody's wall to their bedroom is right there, and they can hear the conversation going on. So if you're talking after 9 o'clock and they're in bed, you're disturbing them.
I mean, potentially, but some of you guys leave your TVs on like crazy, and it's just part of congregate living. But yes, I mean, all of these things are things that are being very much taken into account. We've talked about this extensively with the team. I think what I would encourage you to do, because I want you to hear what I'm saying to you loud and clear. Your voices here make a difference, and what you want and what you're desiring are really, really important to our team. So we're going to be doing multiple surveys. We're going to be switching over to SurveyMonkey, actually, is going to be the technology that we're going to be using. You've got to use your voices. Don't be shy. But the only way you can adequately be sure that you've communicated your desires is to do it. Rhea?
Well, I wanted to know if the monkey was going to wear a little red hat. But aside from that, you talked about 50 to 70 more people coming. I don't know whether that's couples, singles, or whatever. And I just wondered whether you've done a usage evaluation in terms of 70 more people in the pool, 70 more people, having to eat dinner. Well, you're going to change the whole setup so it'll be different. But that whole kind of usage of, tracking that those areas you're not changing in terms of the number of people that can use them.
Yeah, I mean, all of that is contemplated. We're not even close to where we are in terms of what we can do from an experience level with programming. I mean, when we talk about this, you're going to be looking at a totally different, for example, fitness program that will certainly, we're not even close to meeting occupancy standards on the pool, for example. The new expansion is going to have its own community space too. So you're thinking about meetings or whatever, and everyone's going to be able to use everything. There will be transportation, most likely shuttles or whatever, golf carts, combination of the two. There's a huge amount of planning that's going into all of this. And everyone has on the top of their mind the fact that we're potentially going to grow by a bit. And we want to make sure that there's adequate space for everyone and also the program changes that we're going to be looking to do.
Just a quick request. We're not signed up for Connected Living, and we certainly want to keep up with this wonderful project. So could those directions be sent out to
Absolutely.
everyone?
Yeah. Well, Terrell's gone, but yeah, we'll make sure that those get out. Deborah?
I'm sorry, but I don't see where the pack is in the new design.
Right here.
Great, thank you.
Yes, and then you will be able to see this more, Deborah. I just had mentioned up close and personal, once we get them loaded into the connected living screens, there's going to be a new section on there that you can tap on it and look at it. We're getting new screens, actual hardware, and changing the software. But in the meantime, I'm going to have Lindsay send out this diagram to the email listserv. It's only going to be emailed this time though. Only because I want you to have it. Going forward, we need to get in the habit of getting you to be comfortable using the screens to find the latest updates, because if we start having to chase the email versions of this, it's not going to be clear. So we will definitely get training on connected living and tutorials on using it, but it will be on the screens. All right, I'm going to take one more question and then I'll take two more questions, Carl and Dawn, and then we're going to be done with this tiresome topic.
What kind of communication will there be between this section and the new section down the road? A monorail or something the equivalent that gets us there?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was just saying is certainly we have to figure out, transportation between, there's going to be significantly enhanced walking and or golf cart paths, depending on what we can do in the conservation easement. None of that's been contemplated yet. We're still very, very early in the process. We're going to have to increase the fleet that we have and do shuttling between back and forth. We may have golf carts or e-bikes that you can leave at one place and come to the other. There's lots of options, but obviously we know that we've got to, put some kind of efficient back and forth to, for people, zip lines, a pneumatic tube. We talked about a pneumatic tube. You sit in it and it zips you over, gondola,
That's
swim.
That's great.
All right, Dawn, you're it.
All right,
Make a good one.
I think this is stunning and so interesting, and I'm delighted to see it. I'm wondering about the disruption.
Dave, do you want to talk about that? You guys have heard that, I don't know if it's UPS or FedEx that says logistics, and that's their whole motto. Meet logistics.
I've worked in hospitality quite a bit with hotels and so on, and also in commercial office spaces in New York City, where we do this all the time. And of course, no big secret, but it's all about planning ahead and anticipating what spaces are going to go offline. And often there'll be things happening behind a new wall that's been put up, and you don't know that we're creating the new kitchen environment or restaurant environment behind that wall. And that, you know, that's the goal. That's one of the primary challenges in this sort of project, is to make sure that your life goes on as normal. You know, there may be spaces that go offline and you end up doing classes or activities in different spaces for 2 or 3 months, but then you have access to new spaces. And I just wanted to say, you know, like, design in these facilities has changed so much since this facility was built. And it is far more geared towards a residential scale rather than an institutional feeling. And that's really, you know, much of the goal here. But that'll be one of the big changes that you see with the new designs, both for the new facility, but also everything that's going to happen within the existing facility as well. That's what's exciting.
All right, so I will see you when I see you. Thank you so much for sitting through this. Bye.